What is up? Welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Xavier Turbos. The last dreaded buy round is here. For us SuperCoaches, we breathe a sigh of relief, but we also have another headache to go around, which is the run home. Here to dissect round 18 and the run home with me is Grant McCartan, the coach of the Pretenders. Haven't seen you in a while. Feels like I say that every week, but haven't seen you.
No, well, you cut me out of the rotation this month, and I just spat the dummy and said I'm not coming in, and now you got a bit desperate, and desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. So here I am, I'm back.
I'm like that shit bloke that has no other better options, so you're the last resort.
Your words, not mine, mate. Your words, not mine.
I'm kidding.
No, I know. Look, I know I'm the first one off the bench when Big Timmy needs a breather, and that's fairly regularly this season. So I'm happy to be here. I've had an interesting little month, so
keen to dissect that. If you're unaware, we've pretty much every fortnight has been Timmy in, and Grant's been the opposing fortnight. So if you haven't picked up on that, then that's the first you're hearing of it. We've tried to go that every single month. Obviously, when people can't make it here and there, then we change it around a bit, but we try and keep it consistent like that. And I like it because it's like 1 week Timmy, who loose, really exciting, and there's you, really boring. And
Jeez, you're a good fella. So just don't let anyone. I don't care about what everyone says about you behind your back. You're a great man.
Oh, geez, you're gaslighting me here now. So how's your last month been? It's been pretty crazy. Like, I feel like there's been room to move and also room to drop.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, it's been really fun for me because I've had green arrows every week. Unfortunately, they've just been fairly small green arrows. I have ranked round rank between 13,300th and 18,600th for 4 straight weeks. That would be nearly the most consistent effort in the whole of SuperCoach because,
wow.
I mean, if you guys all go and have a look at your history, there wouldn't be too many weeks where even 2 weeks in a row you have 2 round scores very similar, and I've literally had 4 straight round scores that don't, within 4,000 spots. It's all positive. I've saved trades in that time as well. I think last time I was on, I was going through an injury crisis. I've bounced back a little bit, although copped a few last week, Couchman and Taps, though he's been named. So, I'm in a good spot. I had a look, and I'll just have a quick squeeze here. I've had 1 round rank in the top 10,000 this year. I just haven't had that amazing round. But yeah, I'm sitting. I got a 1335 on the weekend. I was pretty happy with that, considering I was a Pappy captainer. I think it was, looking back on it, Drinky playing the Titans is a big sell, and I was on him all week. I got it right with the weather. I got it right with everything. They both teams scored 30 points. Just one of them was involved in every try, and one was involved in absolute buckleys and took an early breather. So, yeah, I'm now 4,700th, which is my second highest rank of the year. Very, very happy, and I've got a big squad this week. But we'll get into that during the potty.
Wow. So you're ranked 4,700th. I've gone up to 5,100. Yep. Yeah. So we're very.
You went past me at one point though a few weeks ago as well. So you've been up, but you've been up and down like a yo-yo. I've been Mr. Consistent.
It's pretty much definitive of our SuperCoach styles.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
You chipped away at it every single week, whereas me, I've gone all out. So I've had big red arrows or big green arrows. Yep. I'm a part of this like little SuperCoach community. It's called NRL Ground Zero, which Barnesy and like all the old school SuperCoaches run. And they post like the biggest scorer of the week in that group, and they've got all these little competitions here and there. And it's really exciting to be a part of, actually. I've top scored that 3 weeks out of this full season. Before that, I haven't topped that. I think I've topped it once in like 5 years.
Ever? Oh, yeah, okay, wow.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Considering you've finished multiple years in the top, couple hundred or even the top 100 recently.
Yeah, because usually my scores are good, but they're never like
that top echelon.
Never that top score. The way my squad's kind of worked out, I've got a lot of like differential type players. My captain's always a bit different. I feel like I've kind of gone the all-out method, and it's kind of got me to the point where I am, but I think I really should have pulled the brakes a bit earlier, and that's probably why I'm in the position I'm in where I'm kind of still sticking to that method where I probably should have realized, hey, this is time to consolidate, get on the popular guys, which I kind of did. I got on Pappy quite early, quite after his 180. I didn't just bite the bullet and just not get him, although probably would have been beneficial if I didn't. But yeah, just things have and haven't worked for me, and I'm keen to see the end of the season, our reviews, because I think they're going to be so different.
Well, you've had a season a bit like mine last year, where because you were so far behind at the start, which happened to me as well, I was still like 50,000th in like round 5 last year. You had to play those differentials and the big pod plays, and then it worked for me for a period, and I probably got to a point where I was actually in a really good spot. I was inside the top 5,000 after that start by Origin 1. Like it was like I had a mad 6-week run, and I just kept trying to chase those big jumps. And I think once I got to that point, I didn't need to. And maybe that's what you're talking about, where you were, a few weeks ago, you'd bounced ahead of me quite substantially. You were what, in the 3,000s?
I was 2,000.
2,000th, right? So,
which is crazy because like you look at Tim Williams, for example. We'll look at him like he's had a really good season because he was 700th.
Don't tell the spy that. He won't. He doesn't like that. He doesn't want to hear it.
No, but he was at 700th at one point. So you're thinking, oh, okay, that's the echelon he's kind of playing with at the moment. Yep. But like if you're 2,000th one week, he was 2,000th a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what his rank is now, but like you look at that and you're like, hang on a minute, just because I've started slower doesn't mean I need to change what my outlook would be as if I'd started stronger. Because realistically, if you started stronger, you've kind of fallen off, whereas you're in hot form when you're rising up the ranks. I think it is tricky because when you're making up ground, you want to keep that momentum going. So you try and keep the same mindset. And the minute you get defensive, you regret it.
Absolutely. And look, I completely get that. I think there's just a point where you said it, where you just need to pull back on the handbrake a little bit. It doesn't mean you stop trading. It doesn't mean you completely change your style. Because obviously if you've gone from 50,000th or wherever you were ranked to 2,000th, you've done something right. I think it's about not chasing those huge plays for a period of time. It's probably because you just need to consolidate some trades. And I guess we'll probably talk about where. Do you want to chat about where we're at with our trades left, or what's your?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, just my structure for the run home kind of thing. But I'm still at 13 trades left before this week. I've got a plan for probably 3 or 4 more trades, and probably on top of that another enough or 2. I reckon I'll have 7 or 8 trades ready to go from round 21 onwards with a full squad. Well,
our sides are looking close to what we want them to be. It's not like it feels like this year you can get who you want, whereas in years past it's kind of been, I need to miss out on this player. Whereas you can get everyone, which makes it very scary because the scores on the run home could be astronomical. And if there's an injury and you've got no trades to go to someone who can make up that ground for you, then you're done. I'm at 9 trades left to go, which I'm not making any trades this week at this point. I have 13 exactly, and I feel like because I've made 3 trades every buy round, mainly setting up for the week after. Like I've used that 3rd trade to make sure I'm good for the week after. I'm looking at my side now and I'm like, I don't want to trade anyone. So that's where I'm at the moment.
How many nuffs do you have right now?
I've got 2 in Charlie Geimer.
Yep.
He could be considered enough, right?
Yeah, you can definitely consider him enough.
And Royce Hunt. I'm not looking at nothing because I think I've used too many trades to nuff any positions.
Right.
I'm also looking at I've got Sandon Smith who can go to someone. I don't know how I'm going to generate cash. I'm considering there is a world where I can go a Zarko this week to a pod option I'm looking at.
Okay.
Which will generate 200K, which I don't mind, but I'm also I like a Zarko for the run home. think we can tie this in with Pickle of the Week just a bit later on. But first, I usually do this ad read later in the show, but I think it's only fitting. July 1st, Carl McGrath Accounting. If you want your accounting sorted, head over to carlmcgrathaccounting.com.au. Give him a call on 0401 044 839. Actually, I accidentally clicked the number there, so I'm calling him. I didn't mean to. Oh, my God.
Trying to get him live on the show, are you?
I wasn't, but I accidentally clicked call. Anyway, he can deal with all your accounting needs for your tax returns. He can maximize your tax refund for a short price of $110 for a basic tax return. If you have anything more complicated, then mention the show, the SuperCoach Experience, and he will sort you out for price. It's tax season, so book in a session with him. He'll get you sorted and he'll talk some SuperCoach with you as well. I'm not sure what he's ranked at the moment. He's ranked really well at the start of the year, but I'll be using him this year, and hopefully he did say that he can legally maximize your tax refund. So I think that's the most important thing this time of year, just knowing where you can get your numbers from everywhere. But talking about numbers, SuperCoach is all about numbers. NRL team list round 18, let's go through it. You got anything to add before that?
Nah, let's go through it. I think you said it all.
All right, Dogs play the Broncos on Thursday night, the 4th of July. Connor Tracy at fullback. We've got Inari Tuala at centre. I'm not sure on his price, but let me have a look just there. Tuala, $366. Bit expensive for me, but it feels like the year of Inari Tuala because there's like the Gehamat Shibasakis, the Jack Gazevskis, who else has there been? There's been so many re-emerged players who have absolutely killed it. Feels like Inari Tuala is going to ton up this year. Burton and Sexton in the halves, they still haven't made a decision on Lockie Galvin there. Kick out at second row, good to see him named this series, this game. But Kiraz, gone. 18th man for New South Wales. You Kiraz owner?
I'm a Kiraz owner, yeah. To be honest, I've got plenty of players this week, so I was almost wishing that Keon Kaloamatangi joined him in the New South Wales squad because it's one of those weeks where, to be, without being selfish, but the more players that made those squads that were highly owned, the more advantage that I would have had. But, can't complain having Keon running around for my side. But yeah, no, he's it's a surprising selection, probably to do with To'o's knee, but I don't understand why he needs to be 18th man to do that. Like I think you would still pick your best 18th man and then let him be 19th with the squad all week. Do
you feel like it has something to do with like Matt Burton just being 18th man and missing out on every single buy-around game?
Plausibly, but the great thing about Origin, the thing that we all love is it's one of the few all-star games or all-star style games, because that's really what it is, right? It's an all-star game in the whole of sport around the globe that has a special spot in the players' hearts that they want to play every year. They don't want to, fake injuries, miss it. Also, I mean, I'm not. I know you're not the biggest NBA fan, Saz, but in the NBA, like half of the players that are originally picked just pull out for various. Like it's impossible to get people to play, and even the game itself is a farce. Like it's not even remotely competitive, right? Origin is so unique in how they do it, and it's pretty phenomenal. But I don't know how it's like that, and I think as long as it stays like that, guys like Matt Burton, if he's our best 18th man, we pick him. That's my view. I mean, I look at guys like Tyron Wishart, and maybe he's a better 18th style man because he probably covers it a little bit more. Burton's pretty flexible, but
I think just based on the bench setup as well, like you've got Hudson Young who can go to second row, you've got Connor Watson who can play in the middle at lock
and six
as well. Yep. You've got Latrell who can go play fullback in case fullback is injured. Like you've got every basis covered except centre. Like Hudson Young can play there at a pinch, but I think Matt Burton's a perfect one. He can come in and play six, can play centre, and your centres can push out to the wing. Like Stephen Crichton can easily push out to the wing.
Absolutely,
no, great defensive player, but
so's Burton. Like Burton doesn't do, I wouldn't say outside of his kicking game, he's super elite in any other category in footy, but he doesn't do anything wrong either. And he's if that's what they're going to, and I guess on a level, if it's easy for me to say I'm not a Dogs fan, and I'm sure it is difficult that he keeps missing those games for that reason. But don't you want you guys to be earning those representative honours? And if you're not in the 17, it's a mark of respect that you're the best at what you do outside of that 17. And so I think, look, maybe it is, but my answer would be I'm pretty sure if you ask Matt Burton, I think with the way Origin is set up that he would want to be playing, he would want to be involved in that setup in some way, shape or form.
100%.
But it is a great opportunity for Kiraz. Like I give him a bit of shit because I think he's a little bit slow. But outside of that, he's a good footballer.
Yeah,
what's going on back here?
What?
We got it just swapped to some random screen. It's all right.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it's okay. Don't fuss.
I think with Kiraz, I think like the stats say a lot. I think he's a little bit overrated just in terms of NRL. I think he's got a great offload. He's got good ability, but I think he's a bit slow. His finishing ability, but like he offers a lot. He's one of the better wingers in the competition.
And carries out of your own end. Those sorts of things matter in Origin. So even offloads, like second phase play, I think it's underrated at that level. Like making those repeat efforts for those middle forwards is really, really tough. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I wouldn't pick him. I just think that there's probably a few things that he misses as a winger, but in saying that, what it does make him is actually versatile in other areas. He can easily slot into the centres. He could probably even in a pinch fill in the forwards if he had to, just because he's a bigger body and that sort of thing. So, yeah. Don't
get me wrong. I think he's by far next in line, like for that wing position as well. Yep. So I don't think there's anyone else knocking on the door. Like talk about Campbell Graham.
I mean, Daniel Tupou's been probably hard done by for a while now.
Yeah, if you're
looking at actual wingers who he hasn't got a save for years since his last series. But I think he hasn't really gotten any worse. Like he's pretty much the same player he always was.
It's fair.
But yeah, look, I would still probably pick Kiraz ahead of him. It's just I just think it's interesting that they've picked a guy who is far more limited in his versatility than a Matt Burton.
Yeah,
it's interesting, but you know what? Go the fucking Blues.
Yeah, I guess they're looking at it like Burton can fill in at 6 and what's the other position? Centre. Whereas Kiraz can fill in centre and wing. So
and probably fullback a little bit as well. He's at least played a little bit. Not that he would go there, but he can.
Like we just mentioned that Connor Watson can fill in the halves if needed. So maybe they're just looking at that and thinking we're more likely to have a wing injury and we prefer, Kiraz to go there instead of a Crichton having to push out because Crichton defensively is so good. But let's move over to the Broncos.
Just on the Dogs before you jump, Harry Hayes at 8, as good as I think he's been for them this year and has just a mad player to watch. His energy is unreal and just his intensity. Like he reminds me, he's like their Ray Stone. Like he's just plays. He'll play wherever you need him, and he'll just do a job for you. But surely Josh Curran's got to start at prop over him this week. You'd have to think.
I don't think he will. Wow. I think Josh Curran's just that bench guy, and they need punch off the bench. Sam Hughes starting as well. Like. I feel like their front rowers typically only play like the second starting one typically plays like 15 minutes.
That's why I wouldn't start Harry Hayes there because I kind of want him to play like he's a bigger minutes guy, right? He's a bit more.
Maybe it's like 20 minutes up front then 20 minutes to the back, which you got Curran coming on at 20 minutes and then he pretty much plays the rest of the game. You've got Curtis Morin who will come on and play a bit of front row. A Lippy hot boy who will play that middle kind of 20 minutes.
And challenge Michael Ennis every time he's and the other thing I saw, Jack Todd's back he's back on the bench for them. He had a bad arm fracture, I believe it was, earlier in the year. He's highly rated by them. It wouldn't shock me if he found a way maybe over Morin, who's leaving, onto the bench. But I don't know if he's actually ready to come back or they're just naming him because he's close, but he's a talent as well. He might get a run this week.
Dangerous player to have on the bench with 2 first names. For the Broncos, Selwyn Cobbo at fullback. Kirk Karapani, the cheapie that delivers. Did you jump on last week?
Yes, I did, fortunately.
Yeah,
much tossing and turning over that one because I nearly just went Kane Bradley and nuffed the position.
Yep.
But I needed one more cash cow.
416k, negative 28 break even. So with a score of, he's predicted to score 100. That can't be right. Let me just go, because last week I looked at it and he was predicted to get like 500K based on getting 55. So with a score of 68, he'll go up to 492 and then 526 and then 548. So he'll peak at like near 600K, which will be outstanding. Be able to go to a gun, which I think just one last little hurrah as a cheapie. I think we can nearly say, based on trades, that he's probably our final cheapie cash generator.
Well, they have the buy in round 20, so I'm looking at him as getting 2 more weeks out of him. Look at it. Broncos left wing's been a gold mine all year. There'd actually be no problem if he ends up your sort of 6th
for sure.
centre wing or even 7th centre wing.
It's like a waste though, right?
Absolutely. I'm trying to upgrade him, but like if you fell into a trades hole and you just couldn't quite make it work, I wouldn't have an issue playing him on matchups on that left wing. He's proven, I mean, he's played 3 games and scored 5 tries, and probably could have scored another 1 or 2 on the weekend. And the Warriors are no mugs. Like that's not an easy team to score against. I wouldn't have an issue holding him. But yeah, look, if he can get to sort of 500K, I think he's in round 20 or 21, he's a lovely little upgrade to one of the guys that you've been missing in the centre wing.
For sure. Mariner in at centres. Ezra Mam is named to play with Adam Reynolds. We've got Pierre Corey in the back row. Jensen and Willison start. So their front row is a bit light. But moving on to the next game, Saturday 5:30. I think the big thing we have to keep an eye on, I don't know if you can get it up from your end, weather watch is going to be interesting here, because I think especially for tipping point, we're going to have to take that into account, because if you're part of the New South Wales area, it's pretty much getting hammered everywhere. So the Raiders take on the Dragons at JO Stadium 5:30 Saturday. So that game, is that game Friday? Yep, Friday the 4th of July, so no Thursday game. K Weeks a fullback. Jed Stewart keeps his spot at 5'8". The only change here, Horsburgh starting. Tarpanay is named Sasangi and Hosking on the edge, and Morgan Smith is at lock. Not much else doing there. But for the Dragons, Sione Finau and Tyra Sloan named on the wings. They got 2 new wingers there. So Finau is a potential enough kind of option. We've got Sully and Allen in the centres, King Tonga and Flanagan in the halves. Gula starts up front. Seward is back. Fatala Mariner on the edge. I don't want to say it's going to be a bludger, but like Supercoach wise, it's not super exciting this game.
No, but there's a lot of, I mean, most people have a lot of numbers in the game, but mainly like, the Canberra forwards who we've kind of had for a bit. Hosking, Taps. Look, as a Dragons fan, it's a good week to get the Raiders. They're slightly under strength, but they're still pretty good.
They're only missing Hudson Young.
Yeah, which is about as strong as about as weak as you get them at the moment. And my Dragons are shot to bits. I don't know if many people own KO Weeks or Jamal Fogarty, but even like Tommy Starling, guys like that, could be the type of week where they sneak 100 in one of those. Who was the fella that did it for the Sharks? Luke Capewell. Was it Luke Capewell that got 140 or 150 in a buy round a few years ago?
No, that was
come from nowhere.
That was Kurt.
Was it Kurt for the Sharks?
For the Sharks,
and just popped out with a random 140. He wasn't even, he hadn't really played much first grade at that point. So that was. I'd love to see a bit of that this week from someone that I own that not many people own, but I'm not confident.
Like enough type of guy.
Well, just like a potty mid kind of guy, I reckon, is the type that I'm looking at.
What year do you reckon he scored that?
I reckon it was 2019. Had to be pre-COVID, didn't it?
Oh, I can't even see. Oh, wait, here we go. Okay, so 20. No, it wasn't this year. Wasn't.
This must be riveting listening.
I reckon it was 2016. That was his debut year.
Could have been.
It wasn't 2016. It was definitely 2017 then.
All right, why don't you keep talking on the teams and I'll work it out for you.
But I've got it right up. It was 2017.
156.
Yeah, round 15 against the Tigers.
Yeah, I remember I had him because he was like floating around and then he got named there and people just jumped on. He had the jewel. That's what it was. It was he was meant to be a jewel nuff. And then ripped out 156 and I actually remember watching that game and thinking to myself like, oh, so now in sort of buy rounds, I should just start to like get, instead of nothing, I should pick it. And for the next 2 years, I chased my tail doing that. And I was like, why am I doing this? Because one random guy fluked to 150. But then,
to be fair, it's happened
Dylan Lucas got a big 100 in the first. Dylan Lucas is very different, but he got a big 100 in the first one. They do happen in these
also,
rounds.
Tristan Sailors of the world have done well at this time of year. So, it's the perfect round for a Sione Finau, although Sione Finau might keep his position. But, I guess if we're looking at a Nari Twala, for example, I think he's a perfect one, but probably too highly priced. Dean Mariner, potentially one. But, yeah, I think these, if you're going enough, this is a nice time to target it. A Joe Chan even named at centre.
There's another Melbourne player when you get to that team that
hey. All right, let's move on to the next game then. Cowboys take on the Storm, 7:30 on Saturday night. Drinkwater at fullback. We've got Purdue and Labour in the centres. Taulagi still on the wing because he's not named in Origin, which baffles me that Hammer and Shibasaki are there and not Taulagi, Walsh. I'm much more scared of those combos than Shibasaki. Although Shibasaki, I'd say he deserves it somewhat, but just based on what's around, probably.
Do you think Billy's maybe a bit scared of that combo as well, though? It's a, high upside, low floor.
I think they need upside, though.
I don't disagree, but I think maybe what Billy saw in Origin 2 was that New South Wales can beat themselves.
Yeah.
And if they play that simple. I don't agree with this. I'm just saying what maybe they're going for is if they just pick those steady guys, don't make errors, and can get a lead in the first half, that maybe it'll be enough to hold us off. I don't think that's the case. I think they should be chasing upside. I don't think New South Wales can play as poorly as we did in Game 2 or in the first half of Game 2. But I can't think of it. Shibasaki's a much safer option, defensively and big body against Crichton. It's the only thing I can think of, because I would have done what you're talking about and brought Taulagi in and played Walsh on at fullback. Simple as that.
It's a very valid point. It's a very valid point for sure. Don't know what he's thinking, but I guess let's leave that to the side. Supercoach wise, Duffy at halfback. We've got McLean and Neem up front. Still no Taumalolo. We've got Temple Kalepo on the bench. I thought that was like a Kalepi Tanganoa or one of those guys who emerged with the big biceps, but I don't think it is.
He could do.
Or maybe he is. For the Storm, Grant Anderson on the wing, Joe Chan, Nick Meaney in the centres, Kane Bradley on the wing. Very good enough option there. We've got Tyron Wishart, number 6, and Jerome Hughes killing it. Bronson Garlick at hooker. Not a bad option if you've got that free hooker. Actually, I think he's way too much at the moment. Nelson at lock. Not much else doing. There is Lasati on the bench who you can potentially go for. But, yeah, I feel like this round there's not a lot to target.
Yeah, I would say that as well. But let's get to the talking points as we get to them, I suppose.
Yep. Cool. Moving on to the next game. Roosters take on the Tigers. Tedesco at fullback. Nwanga Nitawase plays at centre, and Tom Rodwell goes to the wing, which is very interesting because I think we talk about these enough guys. Maybe this guy could be the highest scoring player of the week because the Tigers are absolutely smashed with injuries. Hugo Savala and Sandon Smith is named there for one more week because Sam Walker is due to come back next week. Nafahu White up front with Makatoa, Egan Butcher and Fiketti on the edges. Blake Steep at lock. I've heard a lot of talk about Fiketti and Blake Steep. Loelu at hooker. And for the Tigers, Turuva is playing fullback. Luke Luali'i in the centres. Staines and Skelton on the wings. Dewey at 5'8". We got Latu Fino at halfback. Tristan Hope comes in at hooker because they just let go of Talon De Silva and Appy has gone out with a HIA. There's not much else doing there, but I think this is a matchup to target these Roosters players.
Yeah, I would say so. The only concern with the Roosters is their forward pack is a little light, or quite a bit light, but my eyes, Nafahu White, gun. Egan Butcher, a lot of people give him a lot of shit, but I think he's a decent footballer. Fiketti and Steep are coming along in leaps and bounds this year with opportunity. One thing for the Roosters is they've had a heap of injuries. They always seem to have a heap of injuries. But how good has it been watching some of their young forwards come on? And disappointing as a fan of the Dragons. So it means we've got to see them for the next 10 straight Anzac days or something like that. But, you know, as a footy fan, seeing these young guys develop, and, you know, Blake Steep to me looks like he's going to be a future leader at that club, probably even a captain at some point. That Tigers spine. I mean, they've probably moved some players in there that makes it look a little better than it really is.
Yep.
But to do that, they've had to feel, you know, they've moved their outside backs moving Taruva and Dewey into the spine means that they've just got they're shot to bits out there. Like Staines has done a decent job when he's played this year, but I can't imagine that those defensive reads on either side of the field are going to be any good. With Toa's already been struggling all season, and Laliti is still learning. He's a kid, right? So, yeah, Billy Smith and Nwanga Nituase and the wingers are all a chance of some big scores, and so's the big number one at the back.
Yeah, I think this is a massive matchup. Sandon Smith is even someone who could score massive, knowing he's probably out of the position next week. So,
well, he's playing for he's openly trying to find a starting spot or a contract somewhere.
Yeah.
So, you're absolutely right. There's no doubt about it.
What I do like is Royce Hunt is at number 20, which I love, considering how shot they are for depth. Still nowhere to be seen in the starting side, which I love. So I think this week, Mark Nwanga Nituase is a very big talking point. We will talk about him in the top traded in. But last game of the round, 4 o'clock Sunday, Manly play the Rabbitohs. I was hoping to see Tommy at number 1, but we haven't seen that. Hopewade named to fullback, Kula in centre. Luke, it's pretty much the same thing. We got Tavanga at hooker still. For the Rabbitohs, Alex Johnston at fullback, Isaiah Tass on the wing with Munro. Ewan Aiken moves to the centre with Campbell Graham. Whiten into the halves because Cody Walker is injured once again. Keon Kolon-Matangi is named in this bye round, which we weren't expecting. Tallis Duncan on the edge. He's been killing it. Lockie Hubner named to start. And we've got Brandon Smith and Cody Walker on the extended. What's your big thing from this game? I actually think that the Rabbitohs aren't shot enough for depth for me to think this is going to be a smash up.
I don't think the Manly are playing well enough for it to be a smash up. Look, they've got all the Trebojeviches. The Manly backline looks really good. It's nice that Garrick. It's actually nice in a way that Tommy hasn't moved to number 1 in the sense that it still allows probably Garrick's ceiling to be a little bit higher. South's right edge defensively has been pretty poor all season. Yeah,
it's really that's doing my head in because I feel like Tommy's not going to be there all season, and they've been quoted saying, "Oh, just until he gets his confidence."
I honestly think that he'll be back as soon as round 20.
Yeah,
like I really think that this was a 2-week.
Yeah,
let him really play. Yeah, I'm not saying there's no certainty in that, and I don't have any inside information or anything, but I would be very surprised if that doesn't change for round 20.
I think based on how they look, Lehigh just lacks a little bit at the back. I think he's a really, really good player. He's got a lot of good qualities. I just think when you got someone like Tom available there, he's one of the best ball-playing fullbacks in the competition, one of the best support players. He's just all effort, but I think, I agree. It's when his effort isn't there and you know he's not injured, he's just got to build up his confidence. So hopefully it's that for a while. But I've been thinking about it for a few weeks since the news came out. If it's only short term, does that mean they're changing everything else around once he goes back? So Lehigh to the wing, Garrett goes back to centre? I
would think so, yeah. In some teams, you probably wouldn't want it, like you'd want it to be a straight swap. And that's why people were thinking maybe Cooler would just be a one directional move. Tommy just comes into the front line and Cooler goes out the back, but it was never going to happen. Lehigh's been their next choice fullback for a little while now. Yeah. I actually think he's really, really good. I think he's really busy. He's probably nowhere near, I don't think anyone outside of Latrell is as good a playmaker at fullback as Tommy, but he gets around the field a little better than Tom does at the moment. He made some really good tackles last week, which is usually a sign that, someone's got some confidence at fullback. But yeah, I would think that they'll go the 3-way switch as soon as it happens. And the reason is Garrick's been around for a long time. Lehigh's not just going to go to centre and leave Garrick out on the wing. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I think they just basically went to Garrick and said, look, we need you to be the professional here and swap sides and play on the wing because we think it's best that Lehigh and Tommy do their swap. It's as simple as that for me. I think this game, it's so tempting to me because I really think that without jumping the gun, Teddy's the clear captain option this week. It's so tempting to me, though, to hold on to him as VC and run Garrick, just on the off chance that the Bunnies do capitulate.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of teams that could capitulate this week. It's not. I don't even think the Bunnies are that, like, their side's not even that far off their normal side, really.
Yeah, I guess the only other one you look at is the Storm playing the Cowboys, but the fact that it's at home, so there's a bit of disadvantage for the Storm there. You've got, the Raiders and the Dragons. There's not really any high upside players there that are, popularly owned. We've got the Broncos and the Dogs. Who knows how that's going to end up? It's these last two games who I think can have really big Supercoach scores. The Rabbitohs just got 50 put on them last week, so I tend not to want to...
I wouldn't judge too many teams' defenses by their scores against the Dolphins just yet. Just not... Like, I'm not saying not to do it, but the Dolphins are playing... They're playing out of their mind right now. Sure, so, but you're right, they did.
I'm looking at that, like, when a team concedes 50, I don't think, I've got to jump on them for the person playing them the next week, because usually...
Especially not a Wayne Bennett coach side, right?
Usually there's a massive kind of intervention within the team throughout the week. So I think I like to avoid them sort of games, but I think this week we don't have much to choose from. Tommy Trbojevic at centre, 75 last week. Looks pretty good there, like Supercoach-wise. In the fullback slot, I mean, if you're someone who's not running a Pappenhausen or a Drinkwater as your third fullback, would you be considering him as an option?
No, because the round 19 bye is a pain in the ass, but also because I think there's a couple of fullback options that are starting to, like pod fullback options that are starting to play good footy. Edwards, Latrell, there's more than that, but maybe I'll touch on them throughout the rest of it. But particularly Edwards with their draw coming up, to me, looks really, really good.
Yep. 100% agree. I like the look of Edwards too, but we'll talk about him next week and after Origin, obviously. But yeah, that's the team list wrap up for the week, and we'll move on to our pickle of the week, brought to you by PickleBet. Use the code TURBO conveniently when signing up. They have some good Origin and first try scorer specials going around at the moment. Nothing I have on my desk at the moment, but we'll update you guys throughout the week on what the available specials are. Use the code TURBO when signing up. Pickle of the week, I think for me, do I trade, do I not trade? Nwanga Nituase is the most traded in player this week. I'm not tempted by him, but I'm very tempted by a sneaky option who I'll talk about after. We'll do in another segment. But yeah, I'm just thinking I've got 13 players. It's a week where I can move. Maybe I pull the trigger later in the week if I have to. But yeah, I'm looking at my trade out options. I've got Azarko there, 700K. Do I keep him? Do I hold him? The Dolphins are playing so good. I put up a stat on our Instagram today that he's averaging 28.8 in goal kicks over the last 5 weeks.
It's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a Ramian who I might be open to selling, but I don't know if I have the cash to accommodate the trade I want to do. Britton Nikora, there's not necessarily anyone I want to go to in the second row. Could go early on a Haas, but I really don't love it, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit up in limbo this week. There's Dylan Brown. He's gone down to 498K, and I think he's actually a pretty solid number for the rest of the year. Him and Jaden Campbell intertwining between each other. But yeah, it's for me, do I trade, do I not trade? And I think that will be determined later in the week. What's your pickle of the week?
My pickle of the week is it's Mark or Nuff. I'm actually going to go one Nuff regardless. I'm actually thinking about double Nuffing this week.
Oh, double Nuffing.
Yep. And I've already got Tukey Simpkins as well, so that would leave me with 3. But it would also leave me with all the cash. I don't believe I'd have to Nuff for the rest of the season from there. And they would both be duels, so I would probably look at guys like, Kane Bradley would be one, definitely, because he's the best CT dub.
I think he's great enough this week.
I don't even need him to play. I would play him, but it's not because I need him to play. Like, I'm not nuffing and getting a benefit out of it substantially. Of course, I would, have him in there, and probably Kalani going just to open up that flexibility. I don't think I would be nuffing him at hooker. I would be getting. It'll be for Hubner, and Bradley will be in my CTW for now. That's where they'll be. Just to open up sort of Watson, like I still haven't decided if I want to go Watson or Harry Grant, upside or floor. Haven't decided yet. I'm probably leaning Harry Grant if someone held a gun to my head and said I had to. But yeah, or Mark Nongani-Tuase. And I don't really even. Oh, it's not even for this week, right? With Sam Walker coming back, the Roosters needing to win games from here out, and him moving back to the wing. I mean, they play the Dragons next week. You can look at it this week and go, oh, damn, he's at centre. He's not going to get as many points as I thought he was, and he could make it all back next week. He just showed you he can get 130 without breaking a sweat last game. Marky Mark is a special athlete, and he looks... the Roosters' right wing has always been a goldmine.
Oh, yeah.
Always. Now, the talks are that Savala's going to stay on the right and Walker's going to play. They're not going to change it too much. So that's what the talk is. I don't, the only thing that I've got that says that is that Walker's 40 minutes of New South Wales Cup before his thumb injury, he played left side, which he hasn't done for, I think, since he broke into the team. Actually, I don't even think he played on the left when he broke into the team. So, I guess I'd rather Walker was on the right if I was really looking for Nongani-Tuase's ceiling, but I just think he's awesome. Like, he's a great watch, and sometimes he'd be my sixth centre wing. So it doesn't always have to be like, oh, is this a certainty as your sixth centre wing, right? You want to go upside there and play him on matchups.
I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like the Nongani-Tuase trade. I think he's been really good this year, but as we've seen, round 13 and 15 they played Canberra and Newcastle, who defensively have been one of the better teams in the competition, 48 and 43. One of those was with the try. He scored against New Zealand earlier in the year, 46. Did score 57 against the Broncos earlier in the year as well. So, he's got it in him to score well. He scored 91 against the Dolphins. The Roosters absolutely carved up the Dolphins. I don't think that'll happen again. Their draw, the Tigers this week, very good matchup. St. George next week, very good matchup. But then they go into the Sharks at Shark Park.
I'd happily... is that a night game?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The Sharks at Shark Park, Melbourne at Amy Park, Manly at Four Pines Park, Dolphins at Suncorp, Bulldogs at Accor Stadium or Allianz. I'm not sure what AS is. Could be either. But regardless, the Bulldogs are still the toughest road trip in the competition. Then they got Parramatta, then they got Melbourne, and then they got the Rabbitohs. I'm looking at this and thinking, geez, Tedesco could be a sell after this 2-week stretch against the Tigers and the Dragons.
The more people that you tell to sell Tedesco, the better it is for me, mate. So that's no trouble. No, look, I agree. The draw's the downside. The upside is that not many teams have really been that great defensively this year in terms of stopping Supercoach points anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been pretty predictable. If you look at Melbourne, for example, right, who are the second best defensive side after the Dogs by points per game and probably by eye test and all other metrics really this year, they have conceded something like the sixth or seventh most points to both wings. So both wingers have been able to score against Melbourne. It's just that most other players can't score well against Melbourne. So clearly catching them on those sweep plays at some point during the game tends to work. Even if it is when they've put the cue in the rack, fair enough, he might get junk points. But if it's because if it's because they intentionally taking the foot off the gas and they're already ahead in the game or whatever it may be, I don't think I think you can predict that to an extent. People have been saying Herbie's been getting junk all year. Well, just because he's still going 100 miles an hour at the end of the game when other players have sort of either taken a breather or they just switch off for 1 second under fatigue and he makes the most of it. I do agree he's been a bit lucky, but I think that, to an extent, it's become predictable that Herbie will still be going at the end of the game, and that means he's scoring points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he's a must. That's the crux of it. Do I need Mark now, or do I save that trade and in round 20, 21, I can make a play that everyone else is not stuck with Mark? Because I think it's a good problem to have, but they've got Mark, and I've just got to decide that this week. That's why it's my pick of the week. If I get the two nuffs now, I've got 600K in the bank now without nothing at all.
Wow.
So this would be purely from here out, it would just be 1-for-1 upgrades all the way through.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
I'm looking at another option. Mark's the most traded in player this week. And I think I'm only considering this option just because there is Mark is going to be someone who you probably leave out of your side some weeks, especially with this draw coming up. And I think this person that you get into your side can be expendable. And for me, I would need to rely on this player to score a big score this week so I can sell him in coming weeks for a Zach Lomax or something like that. It's Daniel Tupou, 550K. The Tigers are conceding 82 to left wingers in the last 9 weeks, and in the last 3 weeks, they're conceding 96 points. And by far, this has been the hottest edge to target in SuperCoach. Tom Jenkins the other week, 151. Xavier Coates early in the year, 130. There's been multiple 100. Ronaldo Militalo, 110. Like, I was looking through the scores.
And he can't get past 20 at the moment,
yeah,
so that
exactly.
shows you how good he is.
And I just couldn't believe it. And what's thrown a spanner in the works? Taruva's been that guy who's played on that wing, and now he's named a fullback. So I'm just like, did things change there? I still think they attack there, the Roosters. We know the Dolphins tend to go just one side when they're really hot. But I think the Roosters could do it as well, because this edge is obviously leaking a lot of points. And Tupou tends to go on these runs where he gets, multiple tries in a game. His last 3 scores against the Tigers, 99, 60, and 105. Like, for someone like him, you don't really expect scores like that and that consistency with sides like that. Early in the year, 119, 68, 47, and then, 30, 30, 86, 66, 60. He goes on these runs. And I think he's about to go on this run now. He scored 59 last week. He's got the Tigers and then St. George. You talk about the Sharks in Melbourne. Left edge, wing, every chance of scoring tries. I just think over the next 2 weeks he could be a really high upside guy. But the risky thing is, for me, I'd be selling a Zarko to him. I could potentially sell like a Ramian to him if I generate enough cash elsewhere, which I'm not against, but I don't want to use the multiple trades to get someone who I want to get out of my team eventually anyway.
Yep.
But I really like the Daniel Tupou play over the next 2 weeks. I think he's just... I've never been someone really hot on Tupou, and I've never considered it at all, but the matchup this week just makes so much sense.
Yeah, I think it's actually it's a really fun and positive play, because it is a genuine 2-week play. The Dragons' right edge, our right edge, is by far our weaker defensive edge. My only issue looking at it, if you're genuinely looking at it as a 2-week play and you need him to get, you're trying to get to Lomax, you have to be pretty certain that he goes sort of 100, because his break-even's already, I think, in the 80-odd, and he's already 500 and, in the 500s. I haven't even looked at him. That shows you how well I'm going, but I know that that's his rough numbers. I say go for it. Like, I don't need to do that move. But if you've got the if it situationally works for you, I'd go for it. I wouldn't worry about the Taruva move. I do not think, rarely, maybe in extreme cases like sometimes with Dom Young and some guys like that, rarely the winger is consistently at fault. Most of the time, it's just the poor centre struggling against shape.
And Stafford Toa is still there on the right, whereas
Correct.
the other side...
He's been the issue on that side. The challenge for me is, will Dewey remain on their left edge defensively? I would think so, right?
Dewey on the...
Because that's where Luai usually plays. Luai's left side, plays left side.
Oh, I don't know.
And Dewey plays at left centre. So
he might play left.
So if Dewey just steps one position in and defends it, as the left-sided 6, then I think you're fine, because you've still got then you've got Fainu and Lali'i next to each other. Fainu and Toa next to each other on that side, and you don't it doesn't change their structure much. There's still going to be a frailty on that side. Yeah. That's how it's. So yeah, I think it's a really cool call. I haven't considered him too much for my side. I probably won't. Trying to get final side guys now, and trying to save my pod plays for later. But looking at it, what's the difference between making a pod play for rounds 23, 24, 25? Like a 2 or 3 week play then, versus just bringing it forward and going now.
Well, a Daniel Tupou plays is very different because it's like, not many people are going to do it.
Absolutely.
Whereas like later in the year,
lots of people will jump at the same time.
Well, it's advantageous for yourself to do it later in the year because not many people are going to do it because they're out of trade. So it's a very similar situation.
Potentially. But I would argue that at that point in time that you will, like I'd argue that the Daniel Tupou play now will have a much lower ownership than something in 23, 24, 25 because whilst you're probably right about a decent portion of players, there's a lot of people who are going to be saving trades for head-to-head finals and the last people, there's still that theory going around that rounds 26, 27, you can really jump up the ranks, which is true. But I think doing that move now is sort of, I think it's interesting. And I don't think Tupou has to be a sell. Whilst I see where you're headed with it and I agree that it's probably what you want to do, I don't think he's a must sell. The question you got to ask yourself is Azarko a sell right now? Because, boy, is that an interesting guy to own in a very hot team.
100%. I'm actually looking at my head-to-head matchups at the moment, and 14th, 13th.
So you need to win games now.
6th, 12th. And they're all the cash leagues that I'm in. I need to make up some ground in a couple.
I reckon go for it.
So,
But I'd be trying to do it from Ramian.
Yeah, I've had some comments from people saying, he's talking like he's got heaps of trades. Yeah, I always talk like I could talk about options with one trade left.
Yeah. No, I've seen you do it.
And I think I think that's why you do a podcast, because you want to talk as if you're in the listener's shoes.
Absolutely.
And like for me, I just so
would anyone really listen, to be honest, to us sitting here going, no, save all your trades, don't make anything.
We don't need to talk about anything because we're saving trades.
It'll be a 5-minute podcast.
It's funny, I did TikTok reel the other day on Queensland selections. I did New South Wales selections, and then I did Queensland selections, which I didn't upload to Instagram, but I uploaded it to TikTok. And I said in it, I was like, I hate to be negative and 2 negative selection videos in a row, but if people agree with it, like if I just went, good pick, good pick. Centre, he's a good player.
Yeah, no one would watch.
I think you've just got to.
But you also don't need, it's not like you're intentionally, you're not trying to mislead people, because I know you. You will. I'm pretty sure that come what time is it? 2 p.m. on Sunday, that Daniel Tupou will be in your side. I've seen you play enough.
You've talked me into it.
I have not talked you into it at all.
You've talked me into it. I'm holding you to it.
You should know by now
but also, if I wasn't so low on these ladders in these leagues, I'm not putting a dent in overall this year. Let's be honest.
But you got to have a crack. You've got
to have a crack for sure.
If you're giving up your, it's what you mean is, I'm not going to run first, or I'm not going to run in the top 100. That's your
yes.
But having a go at seeing where you can get to from here,
I still think I can rank top 1,000.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's many ways. That's what I'm saying. There's many, and for all the listeners out there, there's many ways to have fun.
You know what's so dumb?
I've got no idea.
All these leagues, there's a bye this week.
No way. Oh, well, at least you'll own him for the Dragons next week.
Oh my god.
Nah, look, for all the listeners out there, the thing with a 27-week fantasy season is you have to find ways at different points to make your own luck, make your own fun, make it enjoyable. Because if all your goal is, and it's everyone's goal to start the year, come first overall, realistically, it's pretty hard to be doing that at this stage of the year. You got to be pretty good to do that year in, year out, and pretty lucky, I would say. I wouldn't be. Yeah, I think that's the type of move that you go, what if it did work out? He goes 200s and you're in the top. You're back inside the 2000s by. You're only 5,100th. Doesn't take much to jump. 1,000 spots in back-to-back weeks, and you're suddenly in a decent spot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really love Daniel Tupou, but I don't know. I'm just feeling it this week. I feel like it's a good 2-week play.
Your gut feel's gotten you many, many times into a decent spot.
It's also started me at 80,000th to start the year.
That's SuperCoach, isn't it? She's a fickle mistress.
I'll think about it. If I could get Ramian to him, maybe. But I also don't mind Ramian as a backup option. But I didn't play him last week. I was really excited to have him. I think I've got enough depth potentially to go without him. So, there could be a world where I enough Charlie Geimer, and then I'll be able to upgrade Ramian to Tupou, which will be a great play. That'll be a great play, but I don't think I could do it that way. I think the only way I could do it would be, enough Charlie Geimer, probably.
Well, if you can find a way to get Kane Bradley into your side, I'm assuming you've got Dylan Lucas.
I do.
You don't have Fermor? Do you have Fermor?
I have Fermor, but they're both in the second row.
Okay, so you don't really need the.
But there's no one I want to sell at centre like Farnworth and Zarko.
Who are your hookers?
I've got McInnes and I've got Sandon.
What about Going?
I've got McInnes and Sandon.
No, Geimer to Going.
I could do that.
Allows you to play McInnes in.
Yeah, I've got the flexibility. I would like that.
That might get, if that gets you enough cash to get.
Let's live trade this thing.
We've gone off topic into just
how much
Dr. Grant
how much is going? 198?
Doing surgery. Yeah, he's a proper jewel nuff.
Oh! I think I can do it.
Look, I haven't
oh no!
How much? Don't you say under $1,000.
$2,600.
That's all right.
It's not meant to be.
No, it doesn't sound like it. Sounds like you're going to have to look elsewhere, mate, or just actually hold your trades. Have you held any? Actually,
yeah,
I heard somewhere in one of the, probably shout out the Gibbers chat.
Yep.
I heard someone this week saying they had 5 trades left, and I was like, Jesus Christ, mate.
That checks out because I have saved trades this year. I've saved, like, the run home is next week. For me to have 9 trades, like usually in a good year I'd save probably 1 or 2 more, but not many more.
No, this is about normal for you. But yeah, I thought when I heard 5, I was like, holy. He might have already made his trade. That might have been after trades, I don't know, but he can't be far off absolute max trading.
So we've done Mark versus Chupo. We've also got who else do you think is a round 18 option? Who do you think is going to be the high scorer this week? I think there's that Roosters matchup. There's the Manly matchup. I think that's about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I've got, there's obviously guys like Katoa looked absolutely unreal last week, but he'll still have his partner in crime inside him. I've had Kicks for a little while now, and he's been a joy to own. I've never seen him this busy on the footy field. I think if he played like this every year of his career, he would have had all sorts of, crazy representative honours, and probably might have even stayed at Penrith, might not have even let him go. They might have put a big boy offer in front of him. But yeah, I think you look at you guys like, well, even Storm have proven that they can probably leak points, and I think this week they could leak points. I think the whole big 3 fullbacks this week could go well. But yeah, I think must-owns this week.
Or you mean Tommy, Teddy, and Drinky?
No, I do not mean Tommy, but he will go well too. He will go well too, I think. No, I think it's Garrick and Tedesco for me if I was chasing real upside.
Tedesco's my VC, I reckon. Just because all the other matchups are so like... Actually, if I own Pappy, it'd probably be Pappy for safety.
The Cows Storm game is probably like...
It could go
I think both of them... No, Drinky just got 100 against them not long ago
Storm,
against a full strength side.
Yeah.
Away. So... but then again, last time I thought positively about Drinky, I captained him for 14. So I can't catch him to save myself right now or at all. But I've captained him twice for hundreds this year and twice for 14 and 32. So I'll just leave him. I'll just let him go on his merry way because I can't catch him. So yeah, no. Look, Teddy's the guy I'm aiming at. I think I'll take pretty much whatever score he gives me, and I don't think that's going to be under 90.
Yeah. 100% agree. Just like what I did the other week, I was not taking anything less than 90, and then Charlie Geimer got named. So, if I just took that loop, I'd be sitting way better than what I would be right now.
If I didn't worry about the weather on the weekend, I'd be sitting way better than I was. But you know what? You take your percentages, and sometimes percentages get thrown back in your face. That's SuperCoach, baby.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's go to the most traded in. We got Nwangan Nitawase, number 1. Jerome Hughes, number 2. 680K. I think there's a lot of people selling the likes of Cleary. Even Nico Hines is up there. Is he? Yep, he's in the top traded out. Number 7. I actually don't mind it. I think Jerome Hughes looks like he's warming into the season. I think the whole year the speculation has been Jerome Hughes looks just a bit beaten up, doesn't look quite to his full potential at the moment, but I kind of like Jerome Hughes as someone to run home with for the run home.
Absolutely. His healthy scores have been fantastic this year. He had that injury for a little while that affected a few scores. He also decided not to tell anyone, but was crook going into a game where he only got 30-odd. My only issue with him is if you thought that the draw for the Roosters was tough, I think theirs might be equally tough. They've got the Knights in 19, Manly in 20, Roosters in 21. Then they get Para and the Broncos in 22, 23, which is probably a bit more open games.
I mean, these are very awkward games. Like, there's no great matchups.
Well, by then Moses will be back. They could be tough.
Para have been good when they've been on.
The difference between, for me, right, they have been, but those sort of teams, they still, like, even when they play well, it's usually like a 24-20 game. Like, you still can, like, they win, but there's points in it.
Yeah.
But then they go into 24.
Imagine if you captain Jaden Campbell against them.
Yeah, imagine. You go into Penrith round 24, the Dogs round 25, and the Roosters round 26 again. Like, it's just, I got nothing. I will probably hold him over Hines because the Sharks have a bye in 25, which is awful timing for head-to-head sort of stuff. But it's not much better given they play the Dogs in 25. Like, it's not a bye, but I would probably consider sitting Hughes for that game.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Sharks do have a good draw from 22. They've got the Cowboys, the Dragons, Gold Coast, and then they've got Newcastle. After the bye, they've got Newcastle Bulldogs.
Yeah, they finish awfully. So
the thing is, if you buy Hines back, you're not going to want him for those last 3 weeks. To be honest, I'm not loving what I'm seeing anyway. Like, he's not really scaring me as that big 100 guy, whereas in the past he has had that capability. So, yeah, just take it or leave it. I think it's Cleary and then just one of these guys. I think they'll average about the same. One
thing that did interest me today is that Nicho Hynes has the second most line engagements for a halfback in the comp this year, behind way behind Isaiah Katoa,
who has 179.
Yeah, heaps more than everyone else. But
I saw that.
But that's I think that says to me that he's trying to play the right style. It's just not working with him and Trindle. It just doesn't work. It's as simple as that. So, which means as a Supercoach you can put all sorts of numbers on it, but the eye test just says to you he's not that lead half anymore. He needs a running guy next to him.
How do you envision those line engagements? Is it running to the line and then running sideways?
Very well could be, because he does a bit of that too sometimes.
I love Nicho. I hate to see people put pressure on him.
Yeah.
Like, there was a reporter that asked Craig Fitzgibbon last week, will Nicho Hynes play fullback? And Fitzgibbon was like, he's not playing fullback. It's been 4 or 5 years. Man, I just take the pressure off Hynes. Like, I don't know how they do it.
I know that
they've just got to win games. That's all they got to do.
Yeah, well, and look, they have won. They've been hot and cold, but the proven formula for him is to put a running 5'8" next to him. And I know that Atkinson is going to the Dragons. I know he's a little, like, that makes him probably a little bit on the nose there, but like, if you put Atkinson there, then he's a straight swap with Kade Dykes next year, or a Liam Eisen or something. I agree.
He's exactly the same player. They play the exact type of role. Yes, they'll have to adapt, but at least the team plays exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like,
you could even make an argument that given a full off season, you could put Will Kennedy. I think would make an okay 6 in that sort of role. You don't like it? I think he would, because they've got better. Only because I think it would make them better to have a better fullback.
Yeah,
to be honest.
like if he defensively could hold up.
That's what I think he would be. I think he would be fine with it.
I think that'd be better for him, because I reckon the effort plays are there for him. Staying one side of the corridor, we know as a fullback he's happy with that.
Well, I think he just lacks the sort of game-breaking stuff, right? Like, he tries everything else, tries his heart out, and he's always there backing up. He does the right stuff. He gets the most out of what he does. I think he'd make a decent 6.
I actually don't hate that shout at all.
I'm not saying he'd make a good 6, by the way. I'm just saying that I think it would suit the Sharks to have Atkinson there this year, and then they can, like you're saying, they can who they want to put where next year. They can worry about it then. But I would be trying if they're serious about trying to win the comp this year. It wouldn't matter who Atkinson's playing for next year. If I thought it would maybe raise our ceiling an inch or two even, I'd try it. I'd give it a go. It's better to try it now and it fail and then bring Trindle back in 2 weeks or so and see how they go.
I just think the Sharks have to cut ties with either Nico or Trindle.
Agree. Yep.
And I don't think it's Nico. I think they've got to cut ties with Trindle. And I know they've been faithful to him. He's been good to them. Yep. Like, he's waited in reserve grade for a long time, but sometimes...
Well, Connor Tracy did that there, and they weren't too fussed about letting him go. So
And also, he'd be a perfect 5A for them. Jesus Christ. I just feel like the Titans have played with so many fullbacks, and look at their roster and look at where they've finished the last few years.
Yep.
Sometimes having more is worse. Sometimes having less is better.
I think it's just about...
look at the Roosters as well.
Yeah. I think it's about simplicity of role, right? It's as simple as that. Whoever's next to Nico needs a very simple, clear role. Nico needs to touch the ball a lot, right? And a lot of people don't think that gives the Sharks the best ceiling. Fine. Maybe it's him that needs to move on. And you want to play Trindle at 7. Trindle's got a better kicking game. Sure, try whatever you want, but I think it's one or the other. I don't think their ceiling is going to be reached with those two in the halves.
I'll tell you who'd be great at the Sharks. Matt Burton.
Yeah, he would be. That's fair. Yeah, that's a very fair comment.
He'd be the perfect 5A for the Sharks. Big kicking game, happy to stay in his corridor, good running game, great defensively. Jesus Christ, make it happen. I'm clipping this up. All right, let's go to number 3, Jed Stewart. Find this a bit awkward because I think his ceiling is a bit capped. He scored tries over the last few weeks and still hasn't cracked 50. Oh, he might have scored 50 on the weekend, but 45 and 44 with tries in both games.
Yeah. I've loved watching Ricky watch him score tries. It's been pretty cool TV.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no for me. I know people are looking enough this time of year, and he kind of fits the category of guy who's going to play this week and it will only play 80 or drop out. But just pick Kane Bradley, man.
Yeah, pick
Kane
Bradley.
I know you can't. I know it doesn't get every dollar out of it, but having that flexibility, you don't want your 7th CTW to be a bottom price guy just sitting there with no jewel. That's my view.
Based on what he's scoring, if he still keeps doing what he's doing, he'll make 400K very slowly. But based on not scoring tries, he'll get to 300K max. And what are you going to do out of that?
Obviously he will go up quite quickly.
It says 264 that he'll get to with 30 scores.
Like, and his base power would be all of like 20.
Yeah, hardly
20 or 30, right? So could easily then start. Like, he could get to 300K and then head back down into the 200s pretty quickly.
And yeah, he scored tries over the last 2 weeks. He's played the Tigers. He's also played. Who did he play on the weekend?
Newcastle.
Played the Knights, which
and that Tigers is on the side that you're talking about. Tupou playing on, so he scored there. And
the last 3 weeks they've averaged 96,
and he got 45,
and he got 45. So that's just how good he's going compared to the season. But like, I don't mind that he's there at all. I just think Supercoach wise, no good. We haven't talked about this guy, Jacob Preston, 690K. He is a gun. Scored 96 last week. So I've got to be better prepared for these plays when I talk about him. But 90 points last week against Penrith. His scores all season have been really good. He's averaging 73.8, and it feels like he quite hasn't had that breakout game. He's had that 122 against Sharks. Was playing on the left edge, though, but I think this right edge, especially if Lockie Galvin comes into the side, I think it's going to be very beneficial. It looks like Sexton is still going to be there, which I think is good still as well. Their draw for the run home, Broncos, Cowboys, St. George, Manly, Tigers, Warriors. I think the wheels are falling off for the Warriors slightly.
Potentially, slowly. Paul Metcalf.
The Roosters, Melbourne, Penrith, Sharks. They've got a pretty bad last 4 weeks, but up until head-to-head finals, he's a good shout. Yeah,
he's got great base power. Averages nearly 60 in that. He's a perfect Supercoach back rower. The only problem is, do you want to use any more trades in the back row at the moment? Yeah. Like, outside of, I'll clearly, based on what I've said in this, I'll have the money to get Hudson Young. But if I was down to Hudson Young or Preston, I wouldn't mind him as a pod option. I think he's perfectly safe. But I mean, I look at my back row: Katoa, Kikau, Kaloamatangi, Dylan Lucas, and I've got Hosking ready to go to. The plan is to go to Hudson Young. So Other people are going to have Aaron Clark. There's Tino still running around in the back row. There's other pods that I don't own. Like, I don't know how you fit them all in. I think he's perfectly fine, but how many weeks you're going to want to play him most weeks, and then does that mean you don't have a Does that mean you have to leave one of your center wings out who has a decent matchup and they go and get 120?
Yeah.
Where Preston knocks out a really solid 72. Like, I think he's a really good Supercoach player. So I wouldn't begrudge anyone, and he's got a great matchup this week. That Broncos left edge is pretty flimsy, I reckon, because Ricky's on the right and Shibasaki out means that he's running at. I can only assume he's running at Mariner and Piakura, which is good fun. And Ezra is in there. So he'll probably score again this week and make us look silly.
Crash over.
Probably. He did last week in an easier... Like, he was on the easier side against Penrith as well.
Yeah.
So he's had some really good matchups. It's just... I just don't think he's a must at this point.
I 100% agree. I think, like, he's not in the top 3 for end-of-season guys. And if he's not in the top 3, then... you're probably going to be leaving me out some weeks, and if buying $700K guy for someone who you're potentially going to leave out some weeks, I hate it.
I'd much rather get Marky Mark, who's a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
And you'll leave out a bit.
Upside.
But his upside is...
you kind of know when to play him.
That's
too.
exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. James Tedesco, can't fault that. 828K.
There are people still buying him.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
3,500.
You poor people.
Yeah. Number 6, K Weeks, 466K available at fullback and 5'8". I actually don't hate it. I think they've got a good run home. And 5'8", like, I mean, if you've got a spare spot in 5'8", then it's a godsend. They're playing St. George this week, Parramatta the week after, Newcastle the week after that. Then they got St. George again, Manly, Penrith, Tigers, Dolphins. They got a pretty good run home.
Yeah,
so
a good run.
He's the kind of guy that, like, based on matchup, you can play. He does have a low floor, though, like very low floor against certain sides.
Trying not to touch, for me, one of my big rules, trying not to trade in 5'8" 2 right now.
I'm not touching 5'8".
Yeah. Assuming you've got a Munster or Jaden Campbell as your first option. I wouldn't be touching 5'8", your second slot. That's just me.
I don't hate the KO week.
That's fun. Great play.
Especially,
great
a lot
draw.
of people would be selling Metcalf to him too, so I don't hate that at all. Scott Drinkwater, 690K. Oh, playing the Storm, I get he turned up against them last time, scored 130 on the weekend, but then he plays the Bulldogs and then the Dolphins, then St. George, Sharks, Para, Knights, Tigers, Broncos. So he's got a bit of an up and down draw. There are some good matchups there. Is he an end-of-season guy? I think based on the fact that he can score these big scores, he is for now.
I haven't looked into the numbers on this because it's a bit end of financial year and I've been absolutely hammered at work. Ooh. But I would love to see his average with and without Jake Clifford this year.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you it would be substantial. Nuts. So I will say that's the take away all the other numbers. If people are going on that theory, I'll back him. If it's just because he scored well last week and they're just taking a stab in the dark, then I don't agree with it. But he does have a really nice run in head-to-head finals as well. He's a good price if you're that type of person who's planning well ahead. I think there's other pods that I'd like to. If I didn't own Drinky now, I would like to own some other guys at fullback from next week. Reece Walsh was one of the other ones I was thinking. Who I think's been Broncos have been in pretty good touch. Yeah, I like it if it's for the reasoning around Clifford. He seems like he's in a stick now. They look a lot better with him.
I am going to deep dive into those numbers this week.
Beautiful. That'd be great.
Check
them on the socials, guys.
Instagram later in the week. Elias Katoa, can't fold that. Karapani, 416K. Would you buy him?
Saw someone buying him today and just said to him, I think you missed the boat. This time of year, if you part of the benefit of getting him last week, I know, he's still going to make money, but was that you're able to pull out so much cash and get him as a cash cow. I'm not looking at, 400 or 350 to 500K mid-price guys who have a negative break-even this time of year. That was 4 or 5 weeks ago. It's just not the time of year to get on guys like that.
100% agree. And then Ezra Mann, 530K. I don't like that one. He's been okay. I think he's been really good NRL-wise, but Supercoach-wise, just doesn't quite have the ceiling there.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
All right, let's move on to the tipping point, the segment where we try and tip each other over the amount of points on who we get. So whether we get over or under depends on how far we can push each other. So today we're doing Daniel Tupou, Mark Nwanganitawase, James Tedesco, 3 Roosters players. We're doing Jacob Preston and also Ryan Pappenhausen. I was going to put Garrick in there, but I think Pappy, just having someone in that Melbourne game, we definitely need there. So let's kick it off with Daniel Tupou. We set the line and then we push each other. So I'll start him at 55 over.
I'll go over 70.
I'll go over 80.
I'll go over 82.
Ooh. I will go over 85.
I'll go unders.
Oh.
I think I was trying to work out if he gets a double. Does that? It'll probably just sneak past it. I don't know. I think he'll score. I think he'll get 2 tries this week.
Yep, I think so too. Maybe 3. Mark Nwanganitawase.
You can only hope that he gets 3 if you bring him into your side. Otherwise, you got to pray for about. Like he gets sent off in the 10th minute or something.
You know what's been happening with me? I've been trading in people one week and they've been scoring really good the next week.
Oh, the following week?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great because he plays the Dragons. So loving to hear that.
Like Beau Fermor last week. I knew I just had to play him last week. He went over for a try very early, which I was very happy with. Mark Nwanganitawase, I'll start at 62 and I'll go over.
Yeah, I'll go over 70.
I'll go under 70.
Yep.
Oh, it's Tigers. Tedesco, we'll start at 90.
I'll go over 95.
I'll go over 100.
I'll go over 105.
Ooh. I will go over 107.
I'll go over 110.
I'll go under 110. Okay. Not because I think he's going to score that, but
it's a big number.
I think it's safe. It's safe.
Yeah, that's fair. That's not like you to take the...
I went all unders last week and lost.
Yeah, well, that's what you get for being soft.
I'll tell you what happened too. I won. Lomax was on 70.
Yeah, big updates, 88.
Updates to 88. The line was 80. And then Timmy was chirping up in the chat after it saying you should... retire from tipping point until I do my punishment, which
from last year.
Yeah,
just
which
so
we've got to
knows.
lock in.
No, we don't have to lock in. You have to lock in.
The score is 10. I think it's 10-6, by the way.
Well, you're in trouble.
So I need this. Pappy.
Yep.
We'll start at 70.
Over 75.
Over 80.
Under.
Oh. I was writing just then. I was like, because usually I go, when I'm ready to do it, I do over or under, and I'm just waiting on the score. So over 80 for me. Jacob Preston, start at 65.
I'll say over 70.
Under 70 for me.
Yep. I think he scores this week.
So Tupou, I've got under, over 85, you've got under. Mark Nwanganitawase, I've got under 70, you've got over. Tedesco, I've got under 110, you've got over. Pappy, you've got under 80, I've got over. And Preston, I've got under 70, you've got over.
Yep.
Captains.
Well, I've kind of given it away a little bit through this, but I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that James Tedesco will be either my VC or my C. That's the simplest decision in the world. This would be one of the very few weeks that I would be shocked if he doesn't start the week before the first game, before people have to, VC loop and change things. If he doesn't start the week at literally 100% or 100% of the top 10% or whatever you want to call it, I would be shocked if he's not. He's between VC and C, that is not just C.
He's by far the best captain option. Let's just go in the top 10% at the moment.
And while you search for that, you found it already?
Yeah.
Okay.
So top 10% of coaches, most popular captain, it's James Tedesco already, 58.1%.
What's his VC?
3.9.
So he's only 60% captained. So it would really shock me if that wasn't in the 90s. So I mean, it's never going to be 100 because people like to be people, but It really would. If those two combined don't get into the 90s, I would be really shocked.
So top 1%, 70%, and 5.9%.
So there you go. You're already up into 70%.
So I think what I'm doing.
There'd also be people who haven't even bothered moving their captain VC from last 100%. Week and stuff.
I'm going to VC because it's a good chance to make ground if he doesn't go well. So I'm going to VC. I don't see any standout options beforehand. He's definitely a standout option, so I'm happy to go with him for sure.
And then I'll just work out whether I want to go someone in the Cowboys Storm game, one of the fullbacks, or if I want to go Garrick. And my view is at this point I would like to go Garrick, assuming they don't play funny buggers and move him to centre. I want him on the wing. Particularly that left wing, because
I will go Garrick or Tommy.
Yeah, you got the options. Look, I mean, realistically, I could also go to there's a few players that play in that game. You're not stuck. So, yeah, that's my play.
Yep, I like it. All right, well, thank you for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next week. Are you going to say anything?
No. See you later.